For those of you who have been following the news around this, I would just like to address the mad gaslighting that's happening from the media. They keep saying that Jacob Flickinger, who is a 33-year-old American-Canadian dual citizen, was just killed in an airstrike, you know? Very sad. Very unfortunate. It's kind of like when you're outside and you're walking and a tree falls on you. The media always does this. Whenever somebody is massacred, is assassinated by the IOF, they go, unfortunately killed, you know? Just very vague, like maybe he got struck by lightning. He was targeted in one of 3 airstrikes. They did 3 airstrikes on cars that had the World Central Kitchen logo on the top of them. And as I said, he was a dual Canadian-American citizen, which is the reason why I want to highlight this. The government of Canada has said nothing about his death. Literally nothing. America came out and we're just like, oh, we're so sad, you know what I mean? But anyway, but the Canadian government didn't even pretend. This is your citizen. And he was a veteran. So he served his country. And then he goes to a place that is being bombed with money from his taxes and then proceeded to get massacred with weapons that he pays for. And now this woman and her baby are going to grow up without a dad. He is only one of 7 of those who were massacred by the Israeli government in that airstrike. And I'm not pointing him out because he's any more special than them or he's any more important than the tens of thousands of Palestinians they have targeted. I'm pointing it out because I think it's very interesting that our so-called governments here in the West are very concerned about their citizens and say that they care about them so much. But then when it comes to them being targeted by the Israeli government, all of a sudden, nary a peep. You guys remember this? Because during the GOP debate that I know no one watched, but I did. She said in regard to American troops, I would say if you harm one hair on the head of an American service member, you will have hell to pay. I don't know why I said he said because it was Nikki Haley who said it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're all monsters. Where's that energy now? You know, as I said, he's a dual citizen. Where you be? What happened to protecting American service members? And you know what's so sick and dark also is that he was in Afghanistan. He was in the military for 10 years and went to some of the most dangerous places. Same with other people in the World Central Kitchen. A lot of the people that got murdered in that airstrike were people who had been in some of the most dangerous places in the world delivering aid. Just think about that. They had been all over the world. But where did they get killed? Gaza, the most dangerous place in the world right now. You are not safe in Gaza if you are civilian, certainly. You're not safe in Gaza if you're an aid worker. You're not safe in Gaza if you're a doctor. You're not safe in Gaza if you're a baby. Because there is no accountability. None. Zero. Zilch. All you have to do is say the magic H word and then they'll let you do whatever you want. And just to further illustrate this proof, Israel has killed more aid workers in the tiny Gaza Strip than have died in all of the countries in the rest of the world combined of the last 30 years. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. This is insanity. There have been some pretty fucking dangerous places in the world over the last 30 years. And yet they pale in comparison to just the last 6 months in Gaza. Not only do we need to be demanding a ceasefire now, as well as the other things that people are doing like boycotting and protesting, we need to start getting on our government officials, harassing them as we've been doing, but the demand needs to be to sanction them. Sanction them. There needs to be consequences for this. They need to stop getting arms from us. I think Mustafa Barghouti explains it the best.
Do you feel that this is a turning point?
No, and I'm so shocked that countries like Australia, with all due respect, Australia, Britain, Poland, did not even condemn the attack. For God's sake, these are their citizens. They didn't dare to condemn the attack of Israel. And the United States representatives, Mr. Blinken, he had the guts to say when he was discussing this matter that we must make sure that Israel has the ability to defend itself. Israel is not defending itself. Israel is attacking Palestinians and attacking internationals. And the spokesperson of the National Security Council also had the guts to say that we don't have proofs that it was intentional. So they're already taking sides and they are already trying to cover up for Israel. And what we see here is a horrible double standard. Compare that with their behavior when Israel claimed, without proving, that some UNRWA workers cooperated with Hamas, and immediately all these countries shut off funding of UNRWA. come on, this is the most clear proof of a very bad double standard that is followed by many Western governments. And by doing so, they are encouraging Israel to commit these crimes and encouraging Israel to be above the law and above international law.
This is on the same day or around the same 24-hour period that we also saw Israel targeting a diplomatic mission in Syria, Iran's diplomatic mission, also taking moves to ban Al Jazeera within Israel, stifling free speech, a cornerstone of democracy. It seems that it is ramping up these efforts to push the international community, and yet we're still not hearing anything to stop it. What is the dangers of it acting with such impunity?
The very big danger and immediate danger is that they will conduct this terrible massacre in Rafah. And they can do it, and they will do it, unless something happens immediately to impose sanctions on Israel. And that would mean the largest massacre in modern history. The other thing is that they will continue to try to push Palestinians out of Gaza into Sinai. And this would be the worst act of ethnic cleansing. There has to be immediate action, and the only thing that will stop Israel is sanctions. Look, Israel is now not only killing people, but also it is violating the United Nations Security Council resolution. It is violating the rulings of the International Court of Justice. They don't care. I think somebody should check the sanity of people like Netanyahu and his crowd. I mean, they're going totally out of control. And I trust the people. I so appreciate the people who are demonstrating every day, pressuring their governments. And that's what we need, more pressure on governments to immediately take actions to sanction Israel, to force it to stop this atrocity and this genocide.
We need to demand that our government, whatever government in the West that you're in that's funding this genocide, that we put sanctions on Israel. We need a ceasefire, of course, a permanent ceasefire, but that's just step one. We need to demand that there is not only accountability, but that they are not able to carry out the massacres that they are with our weapons. We need to stop funding them, and there needs to be sanctions. We need to stop allowing these lunatics to operate with impunity. These people are sociopaths. They're not gonna just do the right thing. We have to push them. And don't think either that just because he's an American citizen, they're gonna do anything about that. Because despite the Nikki Haley's of the world being like, if you hurt an American, we're gonna... I'll remind everybody that Shireen Abu Akleh, who was an American Palestinian journalist who was murdered by an IOF sniper in 2022, never got justice. There was no accountability. Just like with what just happened with World Central Kitchen, first they lied, they denied it, they said it was someone else, then months and months and months after an investigation, they quietly were like, oh yeah, it was us, but it was an accident. The tragic thing about this photo is that this was taken on her birthday a month before she was murdered. They are planning to do an unprecedented massacre in Rafah. Please don't stop harassing your representatives. If you want something that's quick and that happens constantly, that's automatic, there is a shortcut that I think it was Gen Z for Change made where every time you open the app, it'll contact your reps for you. If you guys want me to make a video about how to get that on one of your apps, I will. Let me know. The useful thing about an app like that is that, as I said, every single time you open the app that you connect the shortcut to, it will email your members of Congress. And they have a script that'll just write it for you. So this is also a call to action because we need to be consistent. They are counting on people forgetting. They are counting on people giving up and moving on. We have to keep telling them to keep their fucking hands off Rafah. We have to keep demanding a permanent ceasefire now. We have to demand sanctions on Israel and to stop arming them. Free Palestine and may God be with every single one of their families.